Let's do some virtual Star Wars fashion shopping and check out the new range of Star Wars rings by RockLove Jewelry.
Hello there, welcome to the Kessel Runway show.
Hello there, and welcome to the Kessel Runway YouTube channel. So of course, as Comic-Con approaches in July in San Diego each year, a lot of companies like to release special product, special collaborations, and other items to sort of tie in as an exclusive for the event, or perhaps just an exclusive that they're going to release online at the same time because everyone's hyped about exclusives and new products and things. It tends to be a day for new product reveals alongside like Black Friday and May 4th. And of course, very excited to see what companies have in store for us this year as being, you know, the big sort of return to Comic-Con in-person event. So RockLove isn't actually holding a booth at San Diego Comic-Con as they have in past years. So instead they have done an online release. So that's great. As an international fan, I haven't been able to make it to Comic-Con in San Diego yet. It's on my bucket list, but I do appreciate when companies put their stuff online so us international fans can have a look and, you know, fingers crossed, get our hands on it ourselves. So I was browsing their website, as I do often, and I noticed this blog post reveal on July 11th. It says, skip the line, shop SDCC virtually with new Star Wars RockLove. So of course that was gonna grab my attention. So it says, you know, skip the line, shop virtually. And of course, yes, an international fan, I definitely like those lines. So it says that they're going to be releasing exclusively on rocklove.com. So as I have heard now, they aren't having a booth at Comic-Con. They won't be there. So that's a shame for fans that do like to see product in person. But of course, it takes the stress out of trying to get your hands on an exclusive item. So taking a look at this blog post, we have quite a range of new Star Wars rings. Looking at the list here, we have Ahsoka Tano Rebels Montreal ring, Ahsoka Tano Clone Wars Montreal ring, Boba Fett helmet ring, Darth Vader helmet ring, Kylo Ren helmet ring, and a Stormtrooper helmet ring. It says that these will begin shipping in early August when you're back home from the event to grab it straight from your mailbox. So that kind of tells me that perhaps these aren't in stock just yet, but nevertheless, I'm very, very excited. So let's take a look at this reveal. So we can see the 6 rings here in sort of a promo image form. We can see that there is sort of a heavy focus on silver jewelry. Of course, RockLove primarily uses sterling silver for their products, so I do really like it when they do some classic pieces. So following on from what feels like a continuation from the very original Comic-Con Ahsoka enamel ring, we have 2 more versions to add to that lineage. We have these sort of, instead of being upright on your hand, these ones sort of follow the plane of your fingers, and we have her smaller Montrals as she is seen as sort of a Padawan in the Clone Wars, and then we have her larger Montrals as she is seen as an older Togruta in Rebels. We also have a Boba Fett helmet ring here with some lovely red and black enamel touches. We have a classic Darth Vader ring here, a Kylo Ren helmet ring, and of course the iconic Stormtrooper ring. So these are some really cool pictures here. Now we can see the pricing on all of these is pretty good. We have $99 US for all of the rings except for the Rebels Montreal ring, which is this one right here. Of course, it looks a little bit larger than the other rings. It's not filled in sort of a face like the helmet rings, but we do have these long Montrals. So I understand why the price is a little higher for that one, even though it doesn't have enamel details like the Boba Fett or the eyes of the Stormtrooper, but very good. You know, some of RockLove's pieces can hit the $200 mark, so I definitely like it if you can buy 2 pieces for $100. So definitely keen. So of course we have the launch date here of July 18th at 9 a.m. PST. So doing the time conversion, that ended up being 4 a.m. for me here in New Zealand. So of course there wasn't any text here saying if these were limited edition or open edition, and knowing how popular RockLove releases are, I was not going to take any chances, because I am very, very fortunate in that I have each of the Ahsoka jewelry pieces from RockLove, dating back to that very first enamel ring all the way through to their more recent Kyber crystal necklace, and I really didn't want to miss out on adding these two pieces to my collection. So of course I set my alarm, got up very early, and to my surprise, 10 minutes before the supposed launch, I refreshed the page and the stuff was there. It gave me a sort of a heart attack because I was frantically making sure that I didn't want to miss out. But as we can see, they are all here live on the website. Now, I am recording this a few hours after I made sure that I grabbed my items. I went back to bed because, 4 a.m., not exactly the time that I want to be getting up and staying up. So I went back to bed. So now I am here taking a more casual approach rather than my frantic 4 a.m. Shopping hit here. So of course we can see the 6 rings here, all labeled as new, shiny and exciting, alongside the other RockLove product range. So of course I'm going to go in with what I consider to be my favorite from the range, the Rebels Ahsoka Montral ring. And based on the number of Instagram comments on the RockLove social media pages, this one does seem to be a standout for other fans as well. So I'm going to take a look at it. So we have here the Star Wars X RockLove Rebels Ahsoka Tano Montral ring. This one is priced at $115 US. It comes in US ring sizes 5 through to 11, which tends to be technically, these sorts of sizes are unisex, but because of the inclusion of 5 and 6, we generally see this as a bit more of a feminine size range. Often for men's rings, we see them start at about a 7 and go up to about a 13. We don't have the larger sizes here, but that's fine. You can wear them on smaller ring fingers if you like, pinky ring and stuff like that, if you are a larger ring sized wearer. So it says here, skip the line, shop RockLove's con releases now, and to ensure you receive your package safely, we'll begin shipping in early August, so you're back from the event to grab it straight from your mailbox. And we can see here that it is marked as a pre-order. So there we go. It's got the dimensions here. It's made out of sterling silver, and it notes the sizes here 5 through to 11. And it says the Star Wars X RockLove Jewelry design is limited edition. And of course, most things are. At some point, you're going to stop making them, but it doesn't say a number. So this isn't like the very first Ahsoka ring, which was limited to 1,000 pieces. This gives RockLove the flexibility to make more if that is super in demand, or to just stop making it if, demand peters out and they have other products that they want to focus on and release anyway. So it says every Star Wars RockLove piece arrives in a signature Star Wars X RockLove collector's box with flocked interior and metallic silkscreen branding throughout. Soft black flocking protects your RockLove jewelry and includes a matching Star Wars RockLove branded luxury travel pouch. So that caught my attention because that sounds different to the sort of cardboard boxes that I have traditionally received my RockLove jewelry in. So let's take a look at the pictures, because I'm definitely keen to see this gorgeous ring from all angles, of course. So we can see that it has this lovely open design. I did note, and personally myself, I would have loved to have seen this modeled on a hand. I know, it's one of those things where sometimes it just gives you a subtly different impression, particularly with rings, worn versus displayed, but I get the vibe here, and I think it's really cool. One thing that I thought was particularly interesting that wasn't evident in the original sort of preview is the pattern continues down on the band, and I think that is really, really neat. We can see here that these ends aren't pointy, not too much worry about, accidentally stabbing your hand with, pointed prongs here. And we can see the sort of the detailed etch lines. This looks like it is accented with black antiquing to sort of really make that design pop out. And of course we see these look like real pictures, it's not sort of a render or a mock-up. This looks like a real item, and we can see that beautiful sterling silver shine against this orange fabric, because of course Ahsoka's iconic orange colors. And here we can see the Rebels one next to the Clone Wars design as a sense of scale between the two pieces. And here we get our look at what they mentioned here is the branded luxury travel pouch. So this looks like sort of a suede or microfiber little pouch that we can put it in, you know, for safekeeping in your jewelry drawer, or when you're traveling to a convention and you want to wear your fancy silver jewelry, you've got a little travel pouch there. And this photo seems to show a new box. It's not the sort of top with slide off lid style that we have seen from other RockLove pieces. This looks like a clamshell opening with a sort of a flocked pillow with hyperspace lines there. We can see the RockLove logo there in the background, and what a beautiful display for this ring. Honestly, I am really excited to see this in person. It looks beautiful. I did always like the other cardboard boxes, but to be honest, I never used them personally to display them. I know they're supposed to sort of stack and create a little bit of a display stand to put your jewelry on, but they were cardboard and I found that they just didn't really work for me. I like to keep my jewelry stored in different ways, but this does look pretty. I like the way that it's sort of presented on a pillow. I particularly it just looks really nice. I'm particularly drawn to this design. Very, very excited to see a different sort of style for RockLove. A very sort of fancy presentation. So let's have a quick look at the other Ahsoka ring. So we can see here, this is the Clone Wars. This is when she is younger, a Padawan under Anakin. And we can see the different details here. The lines are straighter, and we have her details here. So this one is of course the Clone Wars Ahsoka Tano Montrol ring, priced at $99, and it comes in the same sizes as the other ring in US 5 to 11. So this one says it's an homage to the courageous and headstrong Ahsoka Tano from Star Wars The Clone Wars, featuring young Ahsoka's iconic silhouette with Leku that framed the finger. The ring depicts her Jedi Padawan headdress with akul teeth and silica bead details. Ahsoka's intricate Montrol pattern is faithfully etched on all surfaces, including the underside of the ring and continuing across the band. So we have here, it's made out of sterling silver, the dimensions, and it has the same pouch and box that the other one does. So let's have a little bit of a closer look at the details here. So this one is cute, doesn't sort of scream the same sort of classic design. I don't know what it is quite. Like obviously this version of Ahsoka is sort of the OG, the original, the Clone Wars. But there's something about the longer lines of her Rebels appearance that seems to strike me a little more in jewelry form. But to be honest, this one is still very, very cool. I like the fact that we can see here that the lines carry around the underside of the ring, so you won't get sort of a flat back effect, even though of course this will be completely hidden when it's worn on your finger. And we get these lovely sort of more angular designs going around the edge of the band there. And then of course we get some, you know, sort of real photos, and we can see of course that sterling silver shine again. You can see just how much it's reflecting here on the orange fabric. Just beautiful. Again, I would love to see this on a finger just to get a sense of the scale, but I'm sure they will be posting pictures. It sounds like they were a little bit rushed, and they're very keen to show some photos showing off the detail on these soon, so definitely keen to pay attention to their social media. Maybe they will update these listings here on the website with more photos soon, but since these are shipping in early August, it's not too much of a wait to actually get these in hand. For me personally, these pictures alone were enough to sort of set my desires aflame for these items. You know, I have a soft spot for the Ahsoka jewelry from RockLove. It's kind of their icon, their signature piece. They do beautiful work, but the Ahsoka ring just kind of has a real special place in my heart, and I'm sure for a lot of other fans as well. So we can see it comes with that same beautiful clamshell style box with the hyperspace lines on this velvet pillow. So very, very pretty. So for the Ahsoka fans out there, which one of these two designs captures your attention more? Do you like her iconic Clone Wars version here, or are you drawn more to the longer lines of the Rebels version? So, or were you like me and couldn't pick and got both? I have read that on their social media, you know, the designer, she couldn't decide which one she liked better, so she went and made both. And I reckon with a bit of wiggling, you could wear these side by side if you sort of want to document Ahsoka's journey, her sort of two different sides. You know, one is the Jedi, one is the not Jedi, you know, with her white lightsabers in that kind of interesting period of time there with her Rebels appearance. I think this is a really fascinating design, and it's really interesting to see just how many ways you can interpret Ahsoka's look, Ahsoka's Montreal and Leku into jewelry designs. They continually surprise us with some brilliant designs. So, of course, enough about Ahsoka. That was obviously going to get my attention. Let's have a look at some of the other rigs in the collection. So let's start with one of the sort of iconic ones, Darth Vader. So for those of you that may not be aware, there has been Darth Vader rings made from a variety of different companies dating all the way back to 1977, where Factors Inc. through Wingeroff made Star Wars jewelry that came out even before the action figures did. So the action figures, you know, they take a little bit to tool and make, so they didn't come out till 1978, the year after. But the jewelry was actually available in 1977 before the action figures were. So they are amongst some of the earliest Star Wars merchandise out there, and I do own several pieces. I've been trying to collect up as much of that range as I can. It's, you know, iconic from 1977, and there is a Darth Vader ring in that collection. It has been done by a variety of companies. Even Her Universe has released a Darth Vader ring dating back some years ago. So it's really interesting to see. Of course, RockLove was going to take a crack at adding their own entry into the lineup of iconic Star Wars Darth Vader rings. So as we can see here, this one is in a wider sort of size range. It is from ring size 6 to 13. So if you are ring size 5, unfortunately you miss out here, but we do have those two larger sizes, 12 and 13, for the ones out there that prefer a larger fit or a more masculine hand size there, because of course Darth Vader is going to appeal to a wide range of fans. So this one says, handcrafted in sterling silver and plated in gleaming black rhodium, the unisex Darth Vader helmet ring depicts the helmet of the galaxy's most iconic villain. The ring features Darth Vader's helmet sculpted along the band in raised lettering Dark Side. Three-dimensional, the domed helmet is hollowed beneath to be lightweight and comfortable for everyday wear, which is of course important. You know, some of these rings, you know, sometimes you like a little bit of heft to your jewelry and other times you don't. I do appreciate that for these helmet rings, they are hollow on the underside, so they're not too heavy and they won't sort of want to pull off your finger when you point your hands down. So of course we see sizes 6 to 13, black rhodium plated sterling silver, and it has the measurements. I do appreciate a company using millimeters to note measurements, you know, for us international fans that use the metric system. Very helpful. So this one, it says it arrives in the Star Wars RockLove's collector's box with embossed exterior and metallic silk-screened art inside. The two fitted pieces stack with the jewelry mounted in a theatrical widescreen proscenium, a compelling addition to any display case. So, by the sounds of it, this sounds like it comes in the standard RockLove Jewelry box. So, let's take a look at the pictures. We of course got the classic Vader helmet here, sculpted in an all black finish. It's hard to tell from these pictures whether we have sort of a silver accent on the cheek or whether that's just reflection. Maybe we'll be able to see in slightly closer ups, because of course if you are a Darth Vader sort of costumer, or you know about all the sort of variations about Darth Vader's outfits, there are differences in the helmet and his outfits from movie to movie. Some of them there are large sort of dark grey and silver accents to certain parts of his helmet, which may or may not be sort of translated into sort of a merchandise form here. So we can see on the underside it's got the Star Wars stamping, Lucasfilm, all of that, to note of course this is a licensed collection. On the back of the band we have the text Dark Side, because that's kind of fun. When you're wearing jewelry you do see the bands, and I know a lot of the time for comfort reasons and just for, you know, cost, the underside of rings don't tend to have much on them, but I do like those little subtle nods, you know, because you see the undersides of your hands. So I like that. I like these little touches here. So of course we see we've got the classic stacking box. So this part slips over here. So if you're giving it as a gift, it's all kind of enclosed. Then you can take the lid off the top, stack it on the bottom, and so you can have it as a little sort of little podium on your dresser. Very fun. Personally, I don't find that this fits well. I like to sort of take my jewelry in and out, and this cardboard bit gets a little bit worn. So I prefer to store them in a different way. So here we get our sort of first look at what looks to be a in-person sculpted piece. And that does look like a silver accent. It's hard to sort of tell. Like this side, it looks all shiny. So it's a little hard to tell whether that is an accent piece from there or not. We can see the beautiful dark side text there. We can see it sitting with the box here. You can see the lid sort of halfway up. And here we are with the Darth Vader ring sitting next to the Kylo Ren ring, and then the 4 helmet rings all lined up here together. So I think looking at this photo in particular, I think this is all one color. I don't think it's an actual silver accent. I think it's just the way that the light is hitting it. I don't know. I'd be very keen to see that in person. But yes, obviously that's going to be a lot easier to just plate the whole thing in one finish rather than having little cutouts and little detail spots. Possibly some, I don't know if that's weathering across the sort of the cheeks there. Very interesting. I'm sure we'll see more photos as they get product in hand, and of course as fans get them in hand. But overall, the sculpt looks reasonably good. I'm not the best sort of Darth Vader proportion expert here. I know that there is certain lines about, you know, where the dome hits in terms of the distance here, how wide the flare is out here, and all that kind of stuff. But to the eye, it looks reasonably good. I'd have to do sort of a side-by-side comparison. But yeah, it looks like a pretty good entry. A good sort of hefty band here that looks pretty sturdy, so that this isn't going to create too much of a point. This looks like this would be pretty comfortable, sort of a thicker band, so that it's going to appeal to men as well as women looking for sort of a sturdier ring. This isn't a dainty design. I know some of the earlier Darth Vader rings, they basically have a very, very thin, not quite wire, but a very thin band across the back, so that it was sort of more comfortable for those with slender fingers, and a bit more of a feminine touch to it. This one is designed to be unisex, so I get the wider band. So let's have a look at the next one in the list, which is going to be the Kylo Ren. So of course we've got the same sort of unisex design here in ring sizes 6 to 13. So this one is also sterling silver, plated in gleaming black rhodium. The unisex Kylo Ren helmet ring depicts the helmet of the conflicted warrior who struggles between the dark side and the light. With two-toned silver and gunmetal detailing, the ring features Kylo Ren's helmet, and sculpted along the band is raised lettering dark/light. Three-dimensional, the domed helmet is hollowed beneath to be lightweight and comfortable for everyday wear. So of course we see black rhodium plated sterling silver, the sizes, the dimensions, and it comes in the sort of tall gift box. So let's have a look at the pictures. First thing that I can see here, this one definitely does have two tones to it. I can see this silver and black antiquing here, and that's definitely the black rhodium finish here up at the top. We can see the sort of sculpting lines. We've got sort of the crack sort of weathering. So this is not the Rise of Skywalker version with the red accents. This looks like it is from his earlier version, where before he has sort of smashed it, and you know, his classic sort of iconic Kylo Ren helmet. So we've got a slightly different angle here. We can see the wide band. We can see that the plating continues on in the inside, and we can see the way that they have smoothed sort of the helmet design so it flows into the band here. So we can see the inside of the ring is hollow. We've got the stamping here, RockLove Star Wars, the 925 silver stamp and all that kind of stuff. And we can see the dark/light lettering here on the underside. So taking a look at it, I can see from here it says dark sort of /light, you know, focusing on the sort of the duality of the character, you know, as we see his story progress through the 3 movies of the sequels. But to be honest, and I don't want to be negative here, the spacing on this is perhaps a little close for my liking. I know that this is a, you know, a slash, not a capital I, as we can see in light. That is sort of a different font. It's obviously not the same as the letter I here, but when it's that spaced close, it kind of runs the lettering together. This kind of looks like it says darker light, rather than that being a bit more of a gap, or perhaps a hyphen or an ampersand symbol or something like that. It's just, I know that's on the underside of the band, but it's just a little bit of an awkward spacing for me. I think that's a little bit unfortunate. I understand, you know, the lettering fits with this design. I would have spaced that a little bit differently, or just perhaps had a gap so it just says dark and light without having to put something in the middle there. It's just a little bit awkward, but let me know if that sort of thing bothers you or not, whether you actually really like the design or whether it's just sort of like, it's on the underside, I don't actually care about it. But yeah, moving on to the helmet itself. So this photo actually looks quite different. It doesn't look quite nearly as dark as it does in some of the other promo photos. It looks very, very shiny here, which is really quite interesting. I'm always keen to see sort of real life photos versus sort of promotional photos where things look so pretty you're not sure if it's a render or not. So we can see it here sitting on the red fabric, which is really quite a beautiful design. To be honest, from the front, this looks a little flat to me. Like the proportions, I think it's possibly the angle of the photo. The top of the helmet looks a little like it's flattened down a little. You know, I'm not the perfect Kylo Ren sort of person to be judging this. I think it looks better, definitely better from side on in this angle. So perhaps it's just the lighting and the way the reflection catches across the top of the dome of the helmet there. Definitely looks really good from side on. I think that looks a little better. There's less of a distinction between the helmet and the band than there is with Darth Vader because of the way that there's a bit of flare to Kylo Ren's helmet, not quite as much as Vader's. So we can see this kind of interesting accent lines going down there, sort of giving that back flare as it moves into the band. So I definitely think that looks really cool from side on, which is often a viewpoint that we look at our rings. We can see there the spacing, just a little bit unfortunate, I think. Doesn't completely kill the design for me, but let me know. So this photo, this I think is a better photo to really show off the coloring and the proportions of the helmet. We really see that darker rhodium color coming through here. It gives it less of a silver when we see it next to true sterling silver of the Stormtrooper. I think that this is a much better promotional photo because, you know, jewelry with the lighting, it can really change whether you love it or hate it from a promotional photo. It's really important to get that sort of promotional photo done right, and I think this is an example of one that's really showing off. We can see all that lovely detail sculpted into the helmet. That's not easy to do at that scale because remember, these are only rings, these are pretty small. We can see that lovely sort of cracking damage there on the top. Yeah, I love the finish of it. Black rhodium works so well for these black helmets from the Empire, and the silver obviously is standing out really nicely for that sort of silver racetrack detailing around the eyes there. So really neat. There haven't been as many Kylo Ren rings done. They're from a few different companies, but neat to see another one for this iconic character. And then we can see in the full lineup, we can really see the difference. These two here are obviously in the black rhodium finish next to these two in the sterling silver finish. So very cool lineup there. Jumping on now to the Stormtrooper ring. So I gotta say, this one is the one that definitely captures my attention out of the helmets. Obviously Ahsoka is gonna be the one that gets my wallet, but this one is, it's up there. I do really love Stormtrooper helmets. My husband has a full suit of Stormtrooper armor, so I'm always drawn to the helmets. We've got them around the house. It's just such an iconic piece of Star Wars design. So always excited, always drawn to Stormtrooper jewelry designs, and Star Wars Stormtrooper fashion in general. So unisex size range for this one, priced at US $99, which is pretty good compared to some of the earlier RockLove rings, which were over the $100 price mark. I do appreciate that these new ones are almost completely under the $100 price point. So ring sizes 6 to 13. Again, it says here, sterling silver and antiqued for contrast. The unisex Stormtrooper helmet ring depicts the helmet of the elite shock troops loyal to the Galactic Empire and the Imperial cause, enhanced with hand-painted enamel details. The ring features a stormtrooper's helmet and sculpted along the band in raised lettering Dark Side. Three-dimensional, the domed helmet is hollowed beneath to be lightweight and comfortable for everyday wear. So we have the sizes, sterling silver, the measurements, and this one again has the top and bottom display case box there. So let's take a look at the sculpting. So just having a look at this first one, there's something about the lighting that they have used here. It looks a little squashed out. We're not getting a true representation here. It looks a little sort of wide at the sides, and there's some sort of odd lines at the nose here. But when we have a look at it from the side, we can see that it is just lighting and a little bit of the angle here. This gives us a much better look at it, and we can really see that amazing detail accented with the black weathering there. And as noted in the description, we've got some black enamels for the eyes, so that gives us that really luxe black there for the eyes, which of course is so iconic. So some pretty good, looks like we'll possibly get a little bit of variability with the weathering with each piece, as you do find with anything that it has a hand done step to it. So we're going to get some differences here in some of the antiquing, but we can see a pretty good example here in this promotional image, accenting those chin details, the grille, the slits here in the side and around the other parts of the helmet. Looking here at the side, we can see the band, we can see the standard Lucasfilm stamps, and we can see there's an interesting detail here. I'll be keen to see that in some of the other photos. We can see we've got the details here and the earpieces, which have sort of been pulled a little bit towards the back so that the helmet lines flow into the ring band. I think normally on a Stormtrooper helmet they're a little bit more upright, but because we've got a little bit of a cut off here, because it's got to fit on a finger, we've got a little bit of a sort of a stretching towards the back to keep in with the flow lines of the ring band. So looking at the back, we have the words Dark Side, similar to the Kylo Ren ring, but we don't have anything in between. We've got a gap here, and this time we can see this really big black swath of antiquing here to really accent those lettering. I wonder how well that's going to wear on the underside of the finger. Just an interesting point. I like that it's accented. I don't know that it needs to be, I guess I'm not familiar with the process of whether it needs to be in between. Perhaps that would have given a distinction between the letters, but no mind. I like the font that they've used for it. It's an aggressive font that's often used for this dark side text. And of course that fits with the Stormtrooper design really well. So here we get a sort of what I think of as a more authentic view of the ring, so that we can see how the shine really picks up on it. It's hard to tell if that is a line or a reflection down the nose in this shot, but I like the sort of the antique. It almost gives it a subtle vintage vibe, like this is a ring that you've had since the 70s. Yeah, and we can see the ear cups going out the side over the sort of cheek tubes, the antiquing there in the front. Some really nice details there. We can see the antiquing in the back. We can see how hollowed this ring is. I'd love to be able to hold these in my hand just to sort of see what the weight is. They're not thin, slender bands. You know, these are designed to be unisex, so they're not going to be the most sort of thinnest of bands, but these are, you know, still sterling silver. It'd be really interesting to see how heavy they feel for day-to-day wear, and just how sturdy they feel, because they look like they would be amazing to wear. I like the lettering better seeing it in these photos than I did in the others. I don't know why. There's something about these photos against the white that just let you see how the light plays across both the sterling silver and the antiquing a little bit better. So again, we can see some of the antiquing here is going to be varied from piece to piece because this is hand done. So of course, ordering online, you won't be able to see your piece before you get it. So it'll be really interesting to see what that looks like on the finished product. We can see it here in its display box, and here next to Darth Vader. So again, we've got this line, which is really hard to tell if this is, I think it's a reflection. that it's picking up on, you know, from either Vader next to it or, you know, photography equipment reflecting. In my experience, taking photos of shiny jewelry can be quite the mission to not get yourself or your tripod or anything else reflecting back at you in the jewelry. So we've got this beautiful shot of the 4 helmets here all lined up, and we can see the black isn't very prominent on the Stormtrooper nose here, so I think it's just an unfortunate reflection showing up that there is a nice clean silver bridge across the nose there. The antiquing doesn't seem quite as prominent in this photo. I think we're getting some lovely bling here, which is really nice. I don't know what this sort of fabric is that they've put it on. That's just an interesting one. I like the white that they've used here. I think that that's just a really nice clean way to display them. So that one I think is on my wish list. I gotta say, I really like the details of it. I know when, you know, a company you love releases not 1, not 2, but 6 things all at once, the wallet doesn't stretch that far. So I had to make a priority list, and my girl Ahsoka is going to hit there first, but I think the Stormtrooper is on my wish list. So last but not least, we have Boba Fett. Of course, with after the book of Boba Fett, and he's just sort of been an iconic character since the 80s. Of course, he was going to be there alongside some classic Imperial characters. So he is the same price as the other helmets in the range at $99 US in ring sizes 6 to 13. So of course we have the unisex size range here. Handcrafted in sterling silver and antiqued for contrast, the unisex Boba Fett helmet ring depicts the helmet of the galaxy's most iconic bounty hunter. Enhanced with hand-painted enamel details, the ring features Boba Fett's helmet and sculpted along the band in raised lettering Bounty Hunter. 3-dimensional, the domed helmet is hollowed beneath to be lightweight and comfortable for everyday wear. So we have the size range, sterling silver, and the dimensions. And this one is again in the cardboard display case. So let's take a look at the pictures. So this one is in sterling silver, of course, and it has this almost sort of a hammered metal finish. So we can see here this red enameled detail and this sort of black that doesn't look like enamel. So I think because of this matte black finish that this is antiquing, which is interesting. I haven't really seen antiquing used for such a wide area before. We can also see the antiquing used to highlight the dent here and some of the details in the rangefinder and details along the side. So interesting, and of course the little arrows here and some yellow, I think possibly enamel here as well. So let's have a look from a few different angles. I love the shine of this one. This one really draws my attention of this beautiful shine. Definitely keen to check it out in some of the later promotional photos. Again, like Darth Vader and Stormtrooper, Boba Fett has been used for a lot of Star Wars jewelry. He's an iconic helmet. It's kind of funny that we don't really see some of the other Imperial helmets done in jewelry form, like Biker Scout or Snowtrooper, AT-AT driver, ATS driver, all those kind of subsequent troopers. Boba Fett is generally up there alongside Stormtrooper and Darth Vader. And now, of course, now that we've got a lot more Boba Fett content out there with the Book of Boba Fett, we know more about the character, and it seems, you know, of course, very fitting in there. I wasn't sure how much I would love a ring that wasn't green, because obviously Boba Fett has a lot of green in his outfit, you know, and his helmet. Because some of the older rings have more of a green, you know, tone to them. They're enameled or painted. But yeah, I think the silver really works. You get that it's Boba Fett with the classic red and black here. We can see some of that this is a cutout in the rangefinder. That's interesting. Hopefully that's not going to be too fussy, too clean. Looks pretty sturdy. That's not a flimsy little stick, because I know some jewelry, when you get a little bit too fine in the detail, makes it a little bit prone to bending, possibly snapping. I know sterling silver is pretty sturdy, but still the accidents happen. So let's have a look at the side. So we can see the way that the helmet design really trails off into the ring band here. Some really nice clean lines. Of course, we've got that angled shape across the bottom of the classic Mandalorian Boba Fett helmet. It works really well, sloping there into the ring band. We can see the copyright stamp there. And now we get a look at the back of the band. We can see the inside of the helmet's all hollowed out. Kind of fun to see the detail lines there showing through. through. We can see the RockLove and the 925 silver stamp there, because of course this is sterling silver. We can see this fantastic Bounty Hunter font. So to be honest, I think this is the text that works the best out of all of the designs. We've got a nice clear distinction between the two words. The antiquing, at least in this example here on the website, the antiquing doesn't sort of blend between the two words, and I personally like that. That's just my preference. I think it looks really nice and tidy, and we can see it says Bounty Hunter, which I think is cool. Good word choice, good font. I like the antiquing around it to really show it up. I think that that's fun detail on the back of the band, you know, so you don't just have plain silver there. So let's take a look at some of the real photos, and I think again this is where these designs really do shine. You know, pun intended there. Sterling silver looks beautiful when you put it under light, and I really like the way that this photo, there appears to be almost a gloss to this. It's catching the light here, and I don't know if that's just the antiquing picking up on the light or whether this is enamel in this version. I don't know if it's just my eyes or whether that looks more glossy than it did in, I'm just going to quickly go back and check. These ones look a little bit more like a matte finish. Not to say that it can't catch the light. This one almost looks like antiquing for this photo. And then in these ones, that almost looks like a shiny gloss enamel, the same finish as the red. So I'm not sure. I'll have to look at some more pictures, because this design is really beautiful. We've got some yellow detailing here. Of course, because the helmet design sort of blends into the ring band, the ear sort of rangefinder side pieces are sort of flared more outwards. They would sort of be tucked in a little bit more closer if this was the actual helmet. I like the sort of detailing there in the dent, iconic for Boba Fett, of course. I like these angled lines. Obviously, with the Mandalorian and Boba Fett, you know, anything to do with this iconic helmet design is going to be super popular. So I'm glad to see it included in this design. We can see it here in its classic sort of display box. Looks super pretty, doesn't it? Here we can see the shiny silver next to the black rhodium. We do love a black rhodium finish, but sterling silver always just has a beautiful shine. And I do tend to prefer sterling silver for jewelry, particularly Star Wars jewelry. There's just something about that shine. It tends to be less of an irritant for people with sensitive skin. So of course, this is a great option if you are a Mandalorian or Boba Fett fan and are looking for an iconic ring. So while we are talking about this, I just have a little interesting note that I wanted to touch on. If we go back and look at RockLove's other range, we can see that there already is a Boba Fett helmet ring available from RockLove. I thought I was going a little bit crazy there for a moment, and then I'm like, no, let me go check. I'm pretty sure I've seen that design before. So looking up, we can see that there is already a Star Wars RockLove Boba Fett helmet ring. And it is, you know, add to cart, it's here, and we can see the differences here. This one was available in sizes 7 to 13, as we can see in the listing here. The new one is available in 6 to 13, so we've got one more extra size in the women's end of the size range, which I do appreciate. Personally, I wear a size 6 ring, so I like it when it includes my size. But we can see that there are some differences here, which is kind of interesting. So I'm just going to have a look at the details here. First we can see, that there is detail, color here on the cheeks in the existing design that is not present on this new design. And the other big thing that I also note is that the existing ring was US 135, whereas this new ring is only 99. So if you were umming and ahhing about grabbing a Boba Fett ring, personally, the price point alone is a little bit of an, you know, definitely a draw card. But the details, now you've got two options. Obviously there's only 3 here left in stock. Perhaps they won't restock these sizes if there is a new design taking preference. And we can see that there are some other differences here. We can see that the bands here are quite different. This one has Bounty Hunter, and this one has the shapes on the back that's kind of inspired by the helmet instead. And we've got here the differences in the enameling on the front. So we've got this extra cheek detailing here. This one definitely looks like black enamel, red enamel, and black antiquing here on the cheeks. This one is silver. There is no coloring on these cheek details here. We also have the little detail here, this little stud dome helmet detail, which is missing from the sculpt design here. Whether or not the sort of accuracy between these two bothers you or not, sometimes little tiny details just kind of add a little bit of noise to a design. And so, if you were in the market for a Boba Fett ring, which one draws your attention more? Personally, I think I like this new one better. The rangefinder on this one is also a different shape, and if we turn it around, we can see that the dent is also sculpted differently. This one's a little bit more circular. This one has almost a, if I can make the picture bigger there, it's almost like a little mini Death Star ring. We see these lines there, and we can really see the antiquing versus the gloss enameled here. It's really quite interesting to see the differences there between these two. So yeah, so that makes six of the new rings from RockLove. So are you going to be picking any of these up? Are you going to, have you picked up any already? You know, so I know which ones I like the best and which ones I have already ordered. So these ones say that they'll be shipping in August, don't know when. RockLove does ship internationally, but I found that some of their international shipping costs can be a little bit on the high side. So I'm hoping these won't take too long to ship. I know that when people release product that kind of has the Comic-Con tag, people are very keen and excited to get it in hand as soon as possible, as if they were going to a con, and you get that buzz of buying it in person and taking it back to your hotel room and having it in your hand. Hopefully it won't take too long for these to hit consumers' hands, as it were, because these are rings. But I'm very, very keen to get my hands on these Ahsoka rings. I think they are beautiful, continuing the tradition of beautiful Ahsoka jewelry from RockLove. One final point as I am looking at this, and I didn't want to dwell on it, but as I mentioned earlier before, these rings were released at 9 a.m. PST this morning. I had to get up at 4 a.m. for us here in New Zealand. It's always in the middle of the night whenever product releases go live in the US, so I'm kind of used to that. But it did give me a bit of a heart attack, because when I refreshed the page at 10:02, the product was already there, and I was like, oh my gosh, it's already there. Did I get the time conversion wrong? Did they hit, go live on the website a little bit early? And at that point, I didn't know for certain if these were limited or open edition. They have confirmed on Instagram that these are open edition, so you don't need to worry about them selling out. They're going to be here for a little bit, but because I wasn't able to find that information out when I got up at 4 a.m., I grabbed the ones that I wanted and put them in my cart and checked out. And the thing was, as you can see here, 5 of the rings are $99, which is a great price point, and the Rebels Ahsoka Montral ring is $115. It has larger pieces, therefore more precious metal. I understand the price point, but in my panic and desperately trying to grab these things to make sure that I didn't miss out, I didn't actually notice one small detail, and I'll just quickly show you because I took a screenshot when I got up this morning. And I don't know if you can see, but when the website went live this morning, both Ahsoka rings were priced at $115 US. So I didn't notice this until after I'd placed my order. I was suddenly looking at it going, the blog post said $99 for the Clone Wars Montral ring. So I asked on Instagram, because they seem to be answering questions. It's where a lot of brands, interact with consumer inquiries, and they confirmed that yes, the $115 for the Clone Wars Ahsoka ring was incorrect. and that they would be contacting customers to sort of issue a refund of sorts. As of yet, I haven't had any email or any kind of confirmation that that's going to be corrected. I'll give them a day or two, because I know that with a release like this of 6 new products, they're going to have quite the influx of emails and orders to deal with and stuff like that. And it's just Comic-Con. Companies are always going to be busy with a product release like this. So a little bit of a slip up on their end. To be fair, I didn't see the price when I was checking out. I was in a panic. I didn't go, oh, that's not $99. Oh, I might just leave that for now. I didn't want to miss out, and figured if it really was a genuine mistake that it would be corrected. But yeah, just something to note. If you didn't notice that, do be aware that at the time of release and for about an hour afterwards, the Clone Wars Ahsoka ring was priced at $115, and that's what it was being charged if you checked out. And then about an hour after release, it was corrected to $99. So a little bit of a mistake, but at the end of the day, I would rather grab this ring than miss out, because, you know, I wasn't going to sit there and go, oh, it's $16 more, I'm not going to buy it. I simply didn't notice the price. I had the price in my head because I'd seen it on the blog post and just grabbed it because it's beautiful female character Star Wars jewelry from a awesome brand. So there. Hope you enjoyed my little virtual shopping tour. You could see my thoughts and opinions. Of course, these are all beautiful designs. Any opinions or criticisms are purely my own. This is just for fun. We all love a little bit of shopping and virtual shopping. Here in New Zealand, I would love to get to Comic-Con one day and just browse the halls and see all the goodies in person. But for now, I'm having fun with the brands that are doing virtual releases. So I get to have a little bit of virtual shopping fun. So I really enjoyed seeing this new range, browsing it, checking out all the photos on the website, because they just released those very original pictures on the blog. I was definitely keen to see more photos, which of course they have released now on the website. So let me know in the comments if you picked up any of these rings, which ones are your favorites, and which helmets you would love to see added to the range, because they have done some fantastic helmet designs and I'm really keen to see them continue to add to this range. I think it's always fun. You know, Star Wars helmet rings date back to 1977, but there are always new characters, new ways of interpreting Star Wars designs into jewelry. So thank you so much for watching, and may the Force be with you.
If you enjoyed this video, go ahead and give it a like, check out our other videos, and subscribe for alerts about new uploads. Thanks for watching, and may the Force be with you.